And why did Jesus need to die for us to begin with? Why? Why was that even a thing? First of all, I didn't eat any no-no fruit in a garden that somebody told me not to eat. Why should I have to pay for somebody else's mistake?
The answer to that question is actually relies on the question itself. Why did he have to die if you didn't perform those sins? That's the reason he had to die, because you are not responsible for all of those sins. So which means God needed to correct that. And because there are rules, and there are cosmic rules that make us suffer, and let me make a quick example. When you're born, you carry the genetics of your own parents. Why should you look like your parents? Why should I be black and why should you be white? Why is it that we have to carry the genetics? Why do we have to carry the DNA of our own ancestors and what so? It is because simply they gave birth to us, and they had to cross in order for us to be born, which means that is something that happens through flesh, but in the spirit there's something else that happens, and that means that the sins that we have our children in the next generation, they will be able to carry as well.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and the fourth generation of them that hate me, and shewing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandment.
As well. That means they did not perform those sins. Those sins don't belong to them, but because they carry the genetics in the spirits that we do, our sins that we have on our souls and on our spirits, they are carried by them throughout all these generations. So imagine how many generations of more sinful people. Every single time there's a next generation, you carry the sins of the previous generation, including the sins that you perform every single day. Which means that when Jesus Christ was dying around those times, 14 generations back, all of those sins, they existed in the people who were in front of him. That means that even though it might seem like before, in the previous generations, people were more evil, we carry those evil. All of them, they exist around us. So what is the solution? It is that we have one person who is going to be able to clean these sins, because he was given authority to behold all these sins. And he decided in his time that he would live a righteous life so that we would follow him and what he does. Which means now we should look at him and try to figure out how to be righteous and how to be holy, right after he beholds all of our sins. So you have never killed anybody in your life, but the day that you were born, you were a murderer. You have never done all of these horrible things that people have done unto other people in the previous generations and all of our ancestors combined. But you are more of a murderer and you are more of an evil person than all of those generations because of the genetics you carry. So this in heaven was seen as unfair, and God, since God is so fair, he decided that he is going to give his only son, one, so that he would behold all of these sins that we carry. And after he beholds all of these sins that we carry, we are washed clean. Imagine all of those generations of sins have multiplied 70 and 70 times onto us. But now they're removed by one man, and only the most powerful man could do it. How many prophets existed? How many of them tried to guide us and failed and sinned and were tempted by the devil and cried and fell to their knees and cursed the days that they were born? How many of them killed, slept with multiple women? How many of them marched into adultery and sexual immorality? How many of them chose to put themselves under circumstances where they could be more sinful, knowing that God speaks to them, but decided to still sin under those circumstances? But Jesus Christ was tempted, and Jesus Christ also suffered as a human being, but never once has he sinned, even when the devil, the prince of darkness, was shown in
Then
front
Jesus
of
was
him.
led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil.
Shown in front of him and gave him the temptations. Even even as the world decided to ignore him and kill him, he was still there for us. Even on his death, he said he should forgive them, for they do not know what is it that they do. Imagine the people who killed Jesus Christ in those previous generations. We still carry those sins, which means we are still responsible for the killing of Jesus Christ. Imagine that sentence. But Jesus Christ forgave that and has forgiven us on all of these sins, all of these generations later. So why is it that you should suffer for the sins of the previous generation? That's not a question you give to God, but that's the question you give to yourself. Why should you suffer for all of the sins that have been performed throughout all these generations? Why should it not be that you shall be saved? Why is it that you don't march towards righteousness and try to run away towards sin as far as possible? Why is it that it's a problem for you? Is it that you want to embrace these previous generations and their evils within you? Or is it because you just don't believe